We're sponsored by the Fisher family, Nishmas Basi Bas Rabbi Shlomo ben Avraham Alevi, Perel Bas Ruvain, also Lili Nishmas David ben Chaim, Lefu Shalema for Yomis ben Chayisor, Yaakov ben Bas Yeleah, Avram and Yom Benish ben Malki Yehudis and family, by Yoel Kugman and family, Lefu Shalema for Avigdor ben Rivka. My Shver sends everybody regards, and he says he misses everybody. Hinda Bas Chayisora, Mashmeh ben Esther Fradel, Shimon ben Sarah Miriam, Chana Bas Shasha bin Rivka Bas Shiraleh, Meir ben Chayisara. They should have a refuah shalema b'seg shercha Yisrael. Hillel v'Shammai kiblu mehem, from the greatest people in the history of mankind. Hillel and Shammai got the tradition from Shmaya and Naftalion. Hillel said, having mitalmidav shel Aaron, if you want to pick who you should emulate, what style? Hillel said, be a disciple of Aaron. In other words, what should you be? You should be a disciple of Aaron. Oyev Shalom. You should be peace-loving. You should love peace. You should love to get along with people. Virodev Shalom. You should pursue peace. Now, Oyev Esabrias, you should love people umikorvan latayr. If you love people, then you want them to have the best. So you want to be an ambassador for Torah. You tell somebody, I come every night to learn, and I finish Masechta after Masechta, and it not only benefits me, it benefits my whole family. My son Yaakov, when he finished Shas, he made in a hall a big Suda, and he invited all of his business friends. And last night, one of his good friends finished Shas and did the same thing. And he said, like Yaakov said, actually he had Yaakov speak, but he said like Yaakov said, I want to let all my friends know, like Yaakov did before me, how this changed my life. And I want other people to have that. I want other people to know that my wife respects me so much more. I'm going to learn every night. I feel such a sense of accomplishment. If you love people, you want good for them. In the next world, Ashrei Misha Balakan V'Talmud B'Yadeh. So you love people, you want them to learn. Who are you, Aimer? And now he said a series of really strong lessons. Nigad Shema, if you make your name big, Avad Shemei, you could lose your name. The Rav explains that if a person becomes big, he might lord over the tzibur, and we already said that could cause a person to die young. Udaloi Masif, if somebody doesn't increase his learning, he rests on his laurels. I had somebody that finished Shas, and then he said he did it. He did it. That's it. Now he's on to other things. I did it. You don't add to your learning, Yosef. You lose it. It says about learning, Hasof einecha boy ve'einenu. You close your eyes from it, and it goes. It's not like riding a bike. You never forget how to ride a bike. Learning needs to be a lifetime occupation. Udalo yalif, a person doesn't learn, kitalachayv. He's chayiv misa. It says by kibbut of aim, Laman yarichon yomecha. Honor your father and mother to live long. So the question is, but we're supposed to serve Hashem without the thought of the reward. So the Me'am Loyi says it's mechlal heina teshemei alav. If you don't honor your parents, chas v'shalom, it's the other way. It says that Torah is life. Ki chayim heim l'moitze'ayim. Eitz chayim hi l'machazikim ba. If a person chooses not to do it, says Hillel, it's a bad choice. Bad choice. It's an easy choice, but it's a bad choice. If somebody uses the crown of Torah for their own devices, they could pass on. Now, Rav brings down two other pshatim. The saga, he says, is if you use the keser shel Torah, if you use the Shema Mefarish for your own purposes, you lose your Olam Haba. And then he also says saga is an acronym for Talmidei Gavra Achrina. Don't use other people's disciples. You have your own disciples. Don't use other people's disciples. But its main lesson is that we don't take Torah as a kardum lachkaba, as a axe to dig our own needs. Of course, this sparked the question, then how could a rabbi get a salary? He's being mishtamish besag, and the answer, of course, is that a rabbi, in the olden days, a rabbi taka didn't take a salary. What they did is they gave the Rebbetzin a monopoly. Like in Luban, the Rebbetzin had a monopoly on two things, on yeast and candles. Rav Moshe's Rebbetzin had a monopoly on yeast and candles. You wanted to buy yeast or candles, you had to buy it from the Rebbetzin. And that was the parnasa. Today, when the rabbi gets paid, he gets paid in the same way that a doctor gets paid. Although a doctor is not supposed to take for his services because it's the mitzvah of Hashavas Aveda, you're not allowed to charge for Hashavas Aveda. But the doctor is allowed to take schar bittul. You could compensate him for what he could be doing otherwise. And the same thing is true for a rabbi. You could compensate the rabbi if he could have been doing something otherwise. So if the rabbi is taka, completely not talented, he might not be able to take money. But if the rabbi could be in his time a lawyer, or anything else, so you could pay him for the fact that because he's doing what he's doing, it's called schar bittul. Reb Chanani ben Akasha Amaratza Kalish Baruch Hu L'Zakei Sis Yisrael L'Fikra Chir B'Lem Torah Mitzvah